Oh God, we're better off waiting until these.
Oh, you want to wait for the train? It's too late now. I've started. Hi,
Oh.
Hi. I'm Dave. This is my wife.
Hello.
Cathy. And this is the Cinemile, the podcast where we wait for a train to pass awkwardly, and then we walk to the movies. There we go. We're off to the Light Cinema for a screening of Knives Out,
Which we've been dying to see.
Yeah, it's a great trailer. It's a great cast.
It's one of the best trailers I've seen in years.
Yeah, it just looks like a lot of fun. It's a murder mystery, which is one of our favourite genres, I think, particularly yours.
It's a favourite genre of mine and one that's almost never done. So much so that when we watched Murder Mystery this summer on Netflix, we probably enjoyed it more than we should have because you never see this genre.
Well, you see it, but it's most often seen on television, I would say.
It's more television, but also it was more of a kind of 80s, 90s genre. Like most television now that's, procedural crime stuff.
They're not murder mysteries.
They're not this is, specifically the murder mystery kind of Clue, whatever it was called. Cluedo game, Clue the movie. Yeah, that kind of a setting.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This looks like it's going to play with the fun murder in an enclosed space. The Butler did it conventions that we love. It's Agatha Christie.
As research, basically. I read, because I've never read it, I just finished Murder on the Orient Express.
Research, guys. That's the level of commitment you get with the Cinemile.
I had never read it. I've always meant to read it, and I thought, ahead of Knives Out, which is, you can tell, is clearly inspired by Agatha Christie, I read Murder on the Orient Express. Yeah, it was pretty good. Sadly, have not seen the Kenneth.
That's your one-word review of Agatha Christie.
I think for anyone who's read it, no spoilers. Good. The end is a bit silly, but up until the end, I really enjoyed it.
Okay.
But my mom saw the Kenneth Branagh movie a couple of years ago and said it was as dull as a long train journey, to quote her.
Oh, good.
So I never saw that movie.
Classic Linda.
Anyway, super excited for this. What a cast! Huge cast. I actually can't remember who was in the trailer because there were so many people.
I'll throw a few names at you.
Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yes. Daniel Craig.
Captain America.
Chris Captain America.
Muriel's Wedding.
Toni Collette, yeah. Oh my God, Michael Shannon's in it.
We'll come back to after we've seen it. We've forgotten. I saw the trailer a while ago. And it's directed by the guy who did Looper, which I love.
Yeah, Rian Johnson, Brick, Looper, The Last Jedi.
Have not seen The Last Jedi or Brick, but he also wrote this. It's pretty impressive, and it's getting amazing reviews.
He writes. Correct me if I'm wrong, listeners, but he writes all his own stuff.
Well, if he wrote Looper, I'm a big fan.
He wrote Looper. Awesome. He wrote Brick. He wrote another one with Mark Ruffalo and Adrian Brody, which I absolutely hated.
Oh.
But I loved Looper. Yeah, he's a guy.
And you hated The Last Jedi.
And I hated The Last Jedi, but I liked Brick. So I'm basically right down the middle with Rian Johnson. I think he, as a filmmaker and a writer, I think he's very, very clever, which I think can go either way.
Well, clever's going to work. Apparently, I read a piece with him somewhere. I can't remember where I was reading it. He was writing this for years, plotting this for years.
Fun. I'm well excited.
I'm so excited. I love a whodunnit.
I think what you do get with Rian Johnson, I think he's one of the more interesting filmmakers around today, because you don't, whether I like it or love it, it's almost always something I haven't seen before. He doesn't play with convention, or he doesn't play by convention, he plays with convention.
Ooh, that's a really nice line. Shame you blew it.
Yeah.
How long did you plan that line for?
Again. Just come up with it. All right, so I'm pumped, and it just looks like it's going to be a fun watch. Yeah. That's all basically you and I really want from a movie.
Well, and
most
also
of the time.
over on
don't want to be challenged tonight.
On our Patreon, we literally just did a movie watch where we always have a different theme every month, selected by a viewer, a subscriber. So this month it was One Room Movies, and everyone voted on 12 Angry Men. So we just did a big review on that over on Patreon. But what was so cool about 12 Angry Men is it was when you've got the right script, the setting can just be one room and it can work as an entirely amazing movie. And this, I don't know how claustrophobic the setting is, but I feel like if he's gotten the story and script as good as I'm hoping it to be,
oh yeah, I'd happily.
Then you'll happily spend hours with them in the same location.
I'd spend 2 hours in this house.
Yeah. So anyway, fingers crossed. Can't wait to see it. Bye.
Right. Bye.
I don't know why you would do that. You still recording?
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to request that you all stay until the investigation is completed.
What? Can we ask why? Has something changed?
No.
No, it hasn't changed, or no, we can't ask.
I'm gonna live till I die.
You think one of his family killed? Is that what you're suggesting?
Then I cry. I'm gonna take the
You all love twisting the knife into one another.
Up your ass.
Oh, very nice.
Matter of fact, eat shit. How's that? Eat shit, eat shit, eat shit.
Smug smile.
Definitely eat shit.
Gonna dance, gonna fly. I'll take a chance. Right high. Before my numbers up, I'm gonna fill my cup. Gonna live.
You know something. Spill it.
I suspect foul play. I have eliminated no suspects.
Hi, we're out. We saw Knives Out, and now it's cold out.
Yeah.
I'm so funny. I loved that. I had
it.
Such a thoroughly good time.
And it was like, usually, because my hopes were really high, and usually when my hopes are this high for a movie, it doesn't live up to it, but it actually exceeded my expectations. Like,
Yeah.
It was absolutely brilliant.
I didn't realise.
And there's the review done. Bye-bye. Go see Knives Out.
Go see Knives Out. If you haven't listened to us before, there's no spoilers yet. We'll turn on to Spoiler Street in a minute, which will be particularly prevalent for this movie.
So do not listen if you haven't seen the movie.
But that's kind of it. I don't know what else to say. It's fun. It's surprising. It feels fresh and different.
It's like fresh and different, but also really true to a genre that is a very comforting genre.
Exactly. It's familiar.
Yeah.
It's familiar while also being fresh and different.
But it's brilliantly
It's
written.
an oxymoron. It's fantastically constructed and written, and it's funny. The dialogue is just like cracking.
The actors
loved
are loving it. Do you know what I loved in
everyone's having
particular?
a ball here.
Not everyone, but a lot of them are really playing against type, right? But in particular, two men that we know from very famous franchises. So Daniel Craig, who is, like, I'm the first to say...
Remind me what Daniel Craig's
I
famous
absolutely
for.
loathe and abhor the Daniel Craig Bond movies, and I hate his performance in them because it's just dry as shit, right? But, oh, damn it, I need to get cash out. The ATM's broken. Anyway, so
another one right there.
Daniel Craig, I can't stand in Bond movies, and he is absolutely hamming it up. He's doing his best Frank Underwood impression, and he is rocking this movie, right? So I've gone from being a Daniel Craig hater to an absolute lover of him in this movie. I don't know if I've ever liked him in a movie before.
He's funny.
I've never enjoyed any performance of his, but I loved him in this. And then the second one is Captain America. Another dry balls.
Chris Evans.
Let's
give him
so
due credit.
dull in the Avengers movies and in the Captain America movies.
You stop it.
But he's brilliant in this. He's totally different. Now, again, he's not an actor I really know outside of that franchise, so maybe he's always like this.
Have you ever seen Scott Pilgrim versus the World?
No. But he's brilliant in this, and he's having so much fun. You can just tell they're having the best laugh, basically. And Don Johnson is having a bit of a resurgence because we were also just watching.
He's in Watchmen.
In Watchmen, yeah.
And he's great in this.
He's great. Jamie Lee Curtis is having a ball. Tony Collette's having a ball.
Also,
it's brilliant.
Shout out to Lakeith Stanfield from who we watched in Sorry to Bother You.
Oh, he's brilliant.
Recently,
yeah.
he plays the lead detective.
He's brilliant.
He is. I want to see him in everything. He's amazing.
Yeah, love him. So yeah, I just really enjoyed it, like, frankly, from start to finish. And then it has, we will save this for Spoiler Street, a lead I wasn't expecting.
Yeah,
loved the lead character.
I swear I didn't even notice her in the credits.
Yeah, that's because I think that was deliberate.
Or in the trailers.
I think that was deliberate, and we should get to spoiler street.
Okay.
I mean, when you've got a cast this famous, it's kind of hard to spot anyone you don't recognise, right?
Yeah, this is true.
And also, we have to say, the cinema we were in, like, I think the biggest screen, absolutely packed. Like, I think there wasn't an empty seat in the cinema. And everyone was loving it. You could tell, like, there was so much laughter in the audience. Like, it was brilliant. Like, because I went to see Last Christmas last week, and you could have heard a pin drop. There was literally no audience reaction. No one was interested, and it was, like, basically empty, even though I know it was apparently top of the box office. So I think this one's going to absolutely smash it. And I'm just so pleased to see everyone turning out and going to see movies that are, like, not action movies, not franchises, like, based on story and character, and, like, you would presume a pretty mid-level budget and a pretty quick shoot. And I think this is the kind of cinema we should all be going to, like, that's story-led and character-led. And it's exactly my kind of movie.
How about entertainment-led? Like, this
there's
movie
an actual story in this movie.
Yeah, this movie is entertaining because of its story and its characters, not because they spent $50 million on special effects.
Well, and funnily enough about Chris Evans and Daniel Craig, like, they've both openly come out against the big franchises they've known for and say, like, don't want to do this anymore.
Good point.
They really don't. They want to do fun stuff.
That's a great point. They are two very beleaguered centres of franchises.
Yeah.
Chris Evans for years saying he was retiring from acting.
No, it basically wants...
This is my last Captain America. This is my last James Bond. Here they are on screen looking like as fresh as a daisy, having the time of their life.
Daniel Craig, I'd have barely recognised him in this movie, quite frankly. And Toni Collette is like a joy. It's like it's just wonderful.
As ever. Have you ever seen? But Toni Collette, like,
I've never seen her play like a ditzy valley girl.
Awesome.
Like, she was really surprising.
The name of her character's company is Flam. She's an Insta influencer.
Yeah.
I mean, if that sentence isn't enough to drive you to watch this movie, go watch this movie. It's an absolute joy.
With genuinely fantastic plot twists. So, will we get to spoiler street?
Yes.
Do not listen past this point.
Yeah, they know how spoilers work.
Well, lots of people go, oops, do you know what? You gave a warning and then I didn't pause it and then I just listened anyway. This is your warning, right?
Well, also, I've been here. I've been that person who's frantically fumbling for their phone, and then your earphones are still going on. I actually dragged the earphones out of my ear one time.
Good, as it should be, right?
But I think we've definitely given you enough notice now.
Spoiler notice.
All right.
Okay.
So, firstly, let's talk about what you mentioned.
Happening.
Who the lead character of this movie is, because I swear I didn't even know she was in this movie or from the trailers or whatever. Her name is, I had to IMDb her. I don't know.
Ana de Armas.
Ana de Armas.
She is
younger than us. Oh, look at that! She's in No Time to Die.
And Blade Runner
with Daniel Craig.
Anyway, we're just on IMDb.
Who was she in Blade Runner?
I don't recognise her. And
Joy. She's the giant. She's the giant hologram, isn't she?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, doesn't matter who she was in something else. She's absolutely brilliant in this.
Yeah, she's
great. And you know what she does fantastically? So she plays like this very innocent, sweet character, which you know can get very sickly sometimes. And sometimes, like, you can watch a movie, for example, a little bit in the latest Terminator, where the lead character is this like young, nice, girly woman, and they're just a bit too sweet and a bit too sickly, but this actress pulls it right off, doesn't she? Like, you're totally on her side. And what I found fascinating is, like, how he structured this movie is so clever. Like, I was completely shocked that very early on it seemed like we actually knew that she had accidentally killed the old man.
Yeah, because you get that moment and you're like, well, where do we go from here?
Yeah, and I thought, this is fascinating.
It's really interesting.
Like, I genuinely did not know where the movie was going, and that very rarely happens.
But do you know what it did by doing that? It created a different kind of suspense, because
you're like, I don't want her to get caught.
Yeah, you're with her, and he puts her in the position as Daniel Craig's Watson, and then
so good.
she's there retracing the steps of her own sort of, quote unquote cover up, and and you're just
Christopher
waiting for her to
Plummer.
get cut out.
We haven't even mentioned how great Christopher Plummer was in this
He
movie.
was wonderful. I loved
their scenes together.
Do you know what I really enjoyed about Christopher Plummer and his character? Was I expected him to be a horrible prick.
Because in a whodunit, the victim's always a horrible
exactly.
prick.
That's every episode of Murder, She Wrote.
Yeah.
You have to have a horrible prick that gets murdered, and then everyone has a motive because they were a horrible prick. But he reverses it. The family are horrible pricks, and he's
stop
lovely.
saying horrible pricks now.
No, but you know what I mean.
No, Jamie Lee Curtis wasn't horrible.
No, true. But in fact, she was relatively sidelined. If anything, I was going to mention my only sort of vague criticism of this movie is that the first half of the movie spends a lot of time setting up all of these different characters, and I was just in it, and I loved how he cuts together the different interview scenes.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
At the very beginning, and it's just this masterful exposition, delivery, and character introduction,
and like just the right side of hammy.
Oh yeah, but it's fun. And it's fun, but like constructive and just absolute masterclass. I loved it. But the second half of the film, then, kind of after we get that the reveal.
That Marta did it.
Yeah, that Marta did it, and then you get the will. It kind of just becomes the Marta and Chris Evans show. Ransom was his name.
I love that his name was Ransom.
And the other
name.
the other characters, particularly Jamie Lee Curtis, kind of just fade into the background.
Well, especially because there was a lot of characters. I thought that at the start. I thought it's actually. I thought I'll be interested to see how he can make all of these characters work, because it's a lot of people to give airtime to.
Yeah, but I felt the balance was.
Like, yeah,
off.
She got the least for sure.
But that's kind of fine. I mean, he told the story he told, and I was with it and loved it. But certainly the.
I mean, there was four four kid characers.
We get no time with Nazi alt-right boy. I love that. I really enjoyed this movie. Felt very mired in today's politics and issues,
even though it was an old-fashioned setting.
Yeah,
I love the fact that they're discussing like Mexican immigrants and our heroine, whose name I just said and I've forgotten now.
Marta.
We know she's Hispanic, but we don't know what country she's from. And every time someone in the family says
it's a different
she's
country.
from Uruguay, she's from Brazil, she's from Mexico, whatever they're saying.
It was such a lovely,
it's just very
lovely
good
touch.
writing.
Yeah,
and they're all discussing, like, they're all having their rich, white, bourgeoisie debate over fucking canapes as to what you should do about Mexican immigrants. And like Don Johnson calls her into the room. And he's just like so condescending to her, says the country that she came from incorrectly, we presume, and then hands her his plate.
Subtly hands her his plate.
Oh my god, like Don Johnson's
very,
brilliant
very
in this as well.
He's really enjoyable.
Yeah, it's funny. It was like a mixture of like a good old fashioned detective story, but like felt very contemporary. And then, like, of course, at one point someone's watching Murder, She Wrote in the background, which just made me so happy, because Murder, She Wrote is my favourite TV show of all time. But it was her mother watching it in Spanish.
But it owes it kind of owes a debt to Murder, She Wrote, while also being nothing like Murder, She Wrote.
Well, Murder, She Wrote used to have a good twist, but Murder, She Wrote, the victim was always horrible.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's what I really liked about this. I liked that the core of this, the hole in the donut, so to speak, which was a wonderful metaphor, I loved how terrible the metaphor was, and he stuck with it, and it only got worse.
It was brilliant.
But I love that the core of this movie is that the victim is in cahoots with his murderer.
Yes,
in many ways.
And then he actually, like, it's actually so sweet. Like Christopher Plummer, like his character, whose name I can't remember, he loves Marta so much, in just a very lovely kind of fatherly way, that when he thinks she's accidentally given him morphine and he's going to die, he slits his own throat to save her. And I think in part it's because he knows, but she doesn't know, that he's just left her his whole fortune, and that she would look very, very guilty, and no one would believe her that
very true,
that she's given him morphine. But I love, he thinks he's got 6 minutes to live, and he's he's 85 and he's been a writer for 50, 60 years. So he's like, this is exactly how you can cover up the murder. And he tells her everything to do. And I was like, yes, this is such an amazing murder mystery moment.
It's so fun. And also at that point you're like, wait, we're only halfway through this movie.
That's
if
what I was
only.
like,
I'm
genuinely, like,
where's this going?
It's so rare that it happens. I sat in the cinema and went, oh my God, I don't know where this is going.
Yeah.
I'm having so much fun, and I completely trust the filmmaker that they're going to deliver on it because it's so good.
Exactly.
And then I was like, I
How
couldn't
often
relax.
do you get that?
Because I knew it was a long enough movie. Like, I'd looked up the duration and it was over 2 hours, which I'd kind of gone, I don't know if they'll manage to keep it tight. And then it was like I could have watched it for way more.
You could not have summed it up better. You can relax. I'm like,
when you're watching a bad movie, like when you're watching Last Christmas, which I know you haven't seen, and you're like, oh, I don't know what's happening. This is so bad. I don't know when it's going to end. But this was just like, you're totally on a journey.
No, but also 90%, if you go to movies as much as you and I do, and most of our listeners do, it's hard to get surprised.
It's
because
really
there's so much
formula.
derivativeness and formula. Yeah, it's like, so I really, really appreciate when you get a gift like this. This movie is a gift.
Honestly, when I haven't, I know we
blast.
just watched 12 Angry Men, which I loved, and actually, do you know what? I feel so privileged that in the same week I've watched 12 Angry Men and now Knives Out, because I'm like, this is the kind of movie making I want to watch. Like,
yeah.
Like Dave's trying to make me go and see Star Wars at Christmas. We're debating it. I don't want, like, this reinforces to me why I do not want to go and see Star Wars. Like, a load of actors phoning it in front of blue screens in just a franchise that Disney is churning out year to year to year. Like, it's not my thing. Like, and this is, and I'm so happy we went to this.
I came into this. I said to you, I don't want to talk about Star Wars or The Last Jedi or Rian Johnson or any of this. And here you are, parking it up, backing it up into my.
I'm not talking about him in Star Wars. Sorry,
let's not
I'd
talk
forgotten
about
that.
Yeah, but let's not talk about Star Wars.
I'm just saying, I'm so pleased. Like, this is my kind of movie. Now, I have a question for you. Okay, if you were Marta and you got left the house, the publishing company, and 60 mil, what would you do?
Okay, well, I'm not going to answer that
question. Tell you what I do.
Instead, I'm going to. Well, fine. So you're not interested in what I would do.
I am
you
interested,
just want to tell me.
But you said I'm not going to answer that question.
Then, go on.
I'd keep the 60 mil.
Okay.
And I'd give the family back the publishing house and the house, because why mire yourself in their shit anymore? Like, let them squabble over that. You've got 60 million. You're all good, girl. You do not need to own the publishing house.
30 mil and you keep 30 or whatever.
No, I'd keep the cash and I'd sever my ties with their assets.
Okay.
Why don't you want to tell me what you do?
Because I think that's, well, we mentioned this in our 12 Angry Men chat, but like, that's not the movie's not about that, and the movie's
not about what part of the money Marta's going to keep.
If anything, the movie's about the corrupting influence of money.
Well, it was great at the end. That final shot is Marta standing on the balcony looking down at the family who've all been kicked out of the house, and her cup says, "My house, my coffee, my room."
And we see that cup in the very first frame, or it's genius.
Oh, do we? I didn't know.
Yeah, one of the first few shots is that cup,
and that was. I loved how it ended. Like, she was like, But
let's talk about that. That's what this movie's about. That's the theme of this movie, is a man who has built an empire. They keep talking about how he's self-made, and everyone else, all of his children want to emulate that, and it's very important. Jamie Lee Curtis says, no, I made that company. That's my company. It's not me and my husband's company. It's my company. I'm self-made. I'm everyone wants to emulate their father and his success, and he wants that for them as well. He talks about how he regrets giving Michael Shannon control of the publishing company because he didn't make something for himself.
It reminded me of Succession in that way.
It's like,
a
very
rich dad
like
who comes from nothing, and then
very like Succession, but the very opposite sort of person.
Yeah, very different characters. But it was that, like, kind of begrudging your own kids that, like, you came from a poor background, but they were given money. But that's not really fair, because it's not their fault that you gave them money as much as it's not your fault you were poor.
No, but it's not. That's what you get in the few scenes you have with Christopher Plummer. You get the sense of a man toying with the decisions he's made and the life he's made, and whether or not he has made life worse for his children. And that's the impression that you get, that his money and success has made life worse for them, or has made them lesser than they could have been.
Yeah,
and that's
it's
why
an
you get a
interesting dilemma.
grandchild in Ransom who has never had a
Brilliant.
job and turns out to be a sadistic.
I love
fucking
right at the end when he goes to kill
plotting
Marta
murderer.
and he goes in for a penny. He goes to kill Marta. That was so
that was
shocking
really
moment.
funny.
But you know what I think,
But
Christopher
hang on, sorry.
Plummer-
Can I just unravel my thoughts here for a second?
Yeah.
But that's what's caused. It's the money and the success. Like, this film at its core is kind of anti-capitalist. I think it's. His success has isolated him from his family. It's ruined their lives, and it's meant that his only companionship is with somebody who has no interest in it. And that's why he gives the money to her. It's why she is his friend. They keep talking about she is his only friend. And for the very first scene we have with Marta, her friend just died. The language is very deliberate there. So kind of, I think that's what this movie's saying. So it's interesting that at the end you get she's the only one who wasn't seeking money, and she's the one who sort of got it in the end. The rest of them are left literally on the outside of the balcony. Anyway, I'm done.
Okay. No, I agree. For sure. But I think it's a lot of money to leave one person. I think if he wanted to be very altruistic, he should have given some to charity or something. Like, it's just a bit odd to leave one person that much money. But what I don't understand is, so I totally get why you cut like Ransom out of the will, right? I totally get why you cut Toni Collette because she's double dipping. I don't see why you'd cut your son, who never did anything but work really hard on your publishing brand, out of your will. And I don't see why you'd cut Jamie Lee Curtis, who, granted, you gave her $1 million to help her start a business, but by all accounts she's turned it into a success. Now, we know lots of people, like maybe Donald Trump, get money from their dad and they fucking blow it and can't start a business to save their life. So why was Jamie Lee Curtis cut out of the will, and why was Michael Shannon cut out of the will? It all seemed a bit mean on the dad's part.
I don't know. And also the movie doesn't this is my point.
They should have given us motives for them.
The movie doesn't spend enough time with those characters.
Like Michael Shannon, he says, like, okay, look, you're basically, he knows what Michael Shannon, that like, you're going to sell my rights to Netflix and I don't want you to do that. But with Jamie Lee Curtis, there was nothing.
No, yeah, exactly. With Michael Shannon, Walt was his character. You've got somebody who he feels he has given, as he says, the gatekeeper to his own works, and he feels like he's not doing them justice. Like, he doesn't want movies and TVs of his books. He wants them to be pure. So I kind of got that. But Jamie Lee Curtis, like, first of all, I don't think we ever got a scene with Jamie Lee Curtis and her dad. So I'm like, I don't ever have a sense of their relationship. She just mentions that they play games, which only culminates in her with the lighter trick at the end, which is really just a sort of a
that's straight out of the Five Find Outers.
It's almost a slight, but it's just a slight cursory sort of nod to this side quest.
And it's really mean.
plot.
It's like, so I've written you out of my will. Oh, and FYI, your husband's cheating on you. It's like, sorry,
yeah.
what did your daughter do to deserve this treatment?
I'm with you. There's no sense of.
Is it punishment
justice.
for having Ransom as your son?
Justice, I guess. But all we get from her is that she's maybe slightly aggressive or belligerent, but she seems like a perfectly fine person.
So yeah, I wish they just. I think look, to me, it's basically a perfect movie anyway. But I wish they'd just given them all a bit of a motive, because that would have been a bit more fun. One of my favourite scenes was when Chris Evans comes in. And we kind of meet him properly for the first time, and he's just horrible to everyone. And he says, "Only the help call me Hugh." It's brilliant.
Yeah, that was good. Although I felt like some of the stuff in this movie with Chris Evans
spoiled by the trailer,
because my God, they went heavy on the Chris Evans sort of joke bits.
Because he's not in the movie that
much. To the point where, and I think the audience felt the same, because his you eat shit whatever bit we've seen so many times, because this trailer got a lot of play and the audience was just silent.
Yeah, and it would have been really funny if we hadn't seen it in the trailer, and the KFC like CSI stuff, like that was good stuff, but it had been ruined in the trailer. But I think, we need to be quiet now because we're walking down a quiet road. I don't want to spoil the movie for anyone. But I think it was brilliant that Chris Evans done it. I just really enjoyed the whole thing. Honestly, I just think he should only make murder mysteries now.
Do you know what I really enjoyed was the whole, like, it was like the Princess Bride with the swapping of the
that was
the labels
so fun.
and the
in the end, you didn't poison anyone because you know the exact weight and texture of a morphine bottle. I was like, yes, she's the world's best nurse.
wonderful.
I want her to be my nurse. It's so good.
And what a great mechanic, which I've never seen before. The whole she cannot lie. She vomits if she lies, which is...
Oh my God, I forgot to discuss that. It's amazing.
It's obviously, it's absolutely farcical. I can't imagine that's a real thing. Maybe it is. But it's as a sort of a device in a movie.
It's so
for
clever.
a character who we know has committed a crime and is spending all her time with the lead detective.
Yeah.
I'm like,
It's
oh
brilliant.
my God, you can't get a better like
It's an
bomb
inbuilt
under
lie
the
detector.
table
Inbuilt lie
suspense
detector.
machine. Yeah, it's a fucking genius.
Yeah,
I
it's brilliant.
think it's
So
really
good.
so clever.
Anyway, we have to go because it's freezing and we have to let our babysitter go home. Thank you everyone for listening. Let
Yeah.
us know if you watch Knives Out.
Guys, let's all chat
enjoy
about
it.
Knives Out on Twitter at The Cinemile, on Instagram at The Cinemile, on Facebook at The Cinemile, or email us, thecinemile@gmail.com. And loads of you guys do email us, and we always write back, and we'll write back to you wherever you talk to us, because we just love talking about movies, as you might guess.
And if
I
you
think
haven't,
I think we got a lot more to say about this.
we do. And if you haven't already done so, please head over to Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to podcasts and subscribe to us and rate us.
We are on
because,
all the podcast things.
Sometimes people ask why do podcasters ask for ratings? The reason being, A, it's like a stamp of quality on your podcast if you have ratings, but B, it also helps other people find it because it kind of drives the iTunes charts, and that's why we ask. We're not just arbitrarily asking, it's actually kind of like the currency of podcasting. So if
We
you
passed our house.
We haven't. We're walking up and down past it. So if you have like 1 minute to spare and you're on Apple Podcasts, just search the podcast and rate and subscribe. Thank you very much.
Rate and subscribe.
Bye.
Bye.
I'm gonna live until
It's a twisted web. We are not finished untangling it, not yet.
What is this? CSI KFC?